Hey, Inspired Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. Howdy. How's it going? It's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in, for joining me today for this live stream on this beautiful Saturday. It's always wonderful to see you all. And I want to start with something beautiful and very important. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, we're free. You all know this has been the mantra for the Inspired live stream for such a long time now. And as a matter of fact, the farther we go, the stronger this mantra needs to echo across the world. What we're going to do today is actually dive into a few important topics. Of course, alien invasion, we're going to talk about that and what that means. And what we can do right now, we can learn so much from the enemy. It's so interesting. We can learn so much and see exactly. And this is something I'm not a big fan of war terminology, but everybody kind of understands it. So I'm going to use a little bit of war terminology because if we see through the program, it's actually so beautiful. That's what we're going to do. Let me welcome you all. Let me see who's here. Of course, Christine is in the live chat. She's the wise thumbs in the live chat and commenting and welcoming you all. My wonderful, beautiful, amazing wife. I see here Energies of Gaia. Good to see you. I also see Paul Smith. Candace is here. Rise is here. Angel Life. Werder Bremen. I see there's a German, that's a soccer fan. Werder Bremen. Wie geht's dir, mein Freund? Schön, dass du da bist. We see Brittany. We see Steve B from the UK. Good to see you, mate. Lisa, wonderful that you're here. Then we see Green Star, Raven, Motion Info, Mr. Blue from Indiana. Very good to see you all. And Angelique is here from Belgium. Elizabeth, bonjour, from France. Very good to see you. We see Nikki from New Zealand. Anna, Gypsy Soul Sister. Love it. I wrote a song called Gypsy Cowboy once. Christina, Matthew Keller, Carlos, Darla, Eli, Leela, Irene, Hilaku, Mikael from Sweden. Great to see you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right. Let's dive into it. Alien invasion. Will it happen before the end of 2020? Truth be told, I don't know. I don't know if it will happen. I mean, right away. I don't know if it will happen before 2020. I'm pretty sure that alien invasion will happen, though. And I'm going to talk more about it. But let me first rewind a little bit. If we want to understand and comprehend what is unfolding in the world and how we can prepare, and more importantly, how we can actually propel our vision into the future, we need to realize how this game works and what these entities are doing. What they have been doing for the longest time, it's called predictive programming. And part of it, of course, is that they are putting things out there and doing things so as to alert and inform certain structures within the system. It's kind of like, Freemasons have their coding through media. There are certain codes that they can portray in pictures. There's people that are, holding their tie. And when they're holding their tie up here, politicians, it's a sign to their fellow Freemasons, I'm up to my neck in water. I need help. Then there's they hold their glasses, or they make, of course, certain signs with their hands. I mean, Angela Merkel has been doing this, right? The pyramid, all like, every picture throughout her chancellorship, if that's the right word. At any rate, so these signals are being put in media all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean all the public knows what's happening. It means those who are initiated know something is on, and they're being signaled to prepare for this. Sometimes it's being put out very, very openly because the event is so big. See, the bigger the event and the bigger the impact, the clearer the signs are out there. And this has been always happening like that. Before 9/11, you had just a year and a half prior to that, you had the Project for a New American Century, which was a think tank out of DC, a think tank. And the signatories and the members of this think tank were people like Jeb Bush, people like Paul Wolfowitz, who was in the administration of George W. Bush, and then Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney and Steve Forbes and many other prominent members, Michael Bolton, or was it John Bolton, not Michael Bolton, many other prominent members of the Bush administration were, prior to that, signing a document called the Project for a New American Century in 1999 or 2000. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere there. We put the link in the description. And in this document, they put out their strategy, their neocon strategy for a renewed global leadership of America in the world. And they were pointing out what countries in the Middle East needed wars and how they were going to do it, how they needed the strategic oil reserves, and all of that was put out in that document. And they said, if we don't have a catastrophic event like a new Pearl Harbor, this is going to take a long time to implement. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. They worded it differently, but that's the meaning of that sentence. Kind of absent of a new Pearl Harbor event, it's going to take a very long time. Well, just a year and a half later, they had their Pearl Harbor. And of course, the rest is history. That was 9/11. 9/11 happened. And even on the day of 9/11, NORAD and other branches of government had disaster simulations up north where they were literally simulating the events of 9/11, literally planes flying into buildings and literally simulating it at the same time as it was happening, which was causing further confusion during the events. I'm not saying planes flew into the buildings, okay? We knew Pentagon didn't happen like that. I'm not saying planes flew into any buildings on 9/11. I don't believe this is how that happened after thousands of hours of research. But that all being said, this is just my opinion for entertainment purposes, right? So you had that. You had the Project for a New American Century, predictive programming. You had TV shows that showed what later would unfold in front of people's eyes on the TV screen. You saw these terrorist events, and this was being programmed into people's minds. So when it happened, it was having the full impact. And actually, they could say, well, you know, they're not saying out loud, but we prepared you for it. Because even in the most evil wars, you have sort of rules that cannot be broken. And one of the rules that cannot really be broken is we need to show you what we're going to do ahead of time. We can't not tell you, because this then tells us you're actually voluntarily agreeing to this, that you're going to be part of this. This is weird and it sounds crazy, but even the dark side has to adhere to those rules, and they're doing it. Another big thing was of course Event 201. What is Event 201? Look up a global pandemic exercise in October of 2019 if you haven't yet. That was done by the Gates Foundation, by CIA, by the Chinese Center for Disease Control, by the US Center for Disease Control, by Lufthansa and other companies of the private sector. They were coming together for this huge pandemic exercise of a novel coronavirus in October of 2019. Predictive programming. They're putting this out there. This is always happening in any, but see, the bigger the event, and this is Event 201, they had to have this exercise from people around the world in order to produce these quick measures and reactions so fast and so hard, because it was already coordinated. They had the systems in place for that. And this wasn't just disaster preparedness. They was speaking specifically to an event like this, like exactly the one that happened just a few months later. It also predicted conspiracies, what was going to happen in the social media realm. They predicted disinformation. They projected fact-checking and censoring. All of this was already being put out. And now we're getting to the alien invasion thing, as I'm seeing the number 666 on my screen. Can somebody come on and watch, please? I'm seeing 666 people on my screen. Come on, put someone up there. Come on. There you go, 680. I like that better. Thank you. All righty. So, alien invasion. This has been out there for a long time. First of all, isn't it interesting that if we look at the movies, the TV shows, if we look at the books, it is always, I mean, 99% of the time, negative, violent, deceptive. We're always seeing an alien race that would come here and try to take over, manipulate, destroy. I mean, it's just bad, right? But truth be told, why would it be that way? Even if we were to finally have officially real contact with a race unbeknownst to the large sections of society, why would it have to be violent? I don't see why that has to be the case. But more importantly, this alien invasion that we're talking about is actually what we think a fake new crisis that they're going to put in place or want to put in place. Of course, we have seen the ramping up. We saw 2020. I mean, the big era began, right? That was a big worldwide event. Then that took a while. Then we already saw, okay, the next thing they were going to push climate real hard. Then monkey didn't really take off like they wanted to. In the meantime, we have Russia, Ukraine, a big event that is transforming the European economy, political sector, socio-economical sector. I mean, that's all being literally transformed right now, and people are suffering, and they're going to continue to suffer. We talked about this yesterday, and of course, we saw how this Russia-Ukraine conflict could start to flare over. We see more conflicts. We see Taiwan. We see Iran, the unrest, the protests that are being, I believe, orchestrated right now. I don't believe this is an necessarily organic movement. But that all being said, this is being projected. So alien invasion, there's so much technology in the hidden that can be used to make it look like we're having alien contact, we're having even a war, even a fight. This could be projected onto Earth to provoke a huge reaction. It's always the same game. You've heard people like David Icke talk about this problem, reaction, solution. You have the solution that you want. That's the first thing you create, the solution, like the social credit system, great reset, that all. And then you go back and you create a problem to which the public will react. Well, when there's a huge problem, everybody reacts. And then you provide the solution, right? We saw this through 2020, through 2022. They provided the solution, right? So this is always problems, reaction, solution. What would it accomplish if they had a fake alien invasion? Well, Ronald Reagan said during his presidency that he often thinks about what it would look like if mankind were all of a sudden confronted with an alien threat, and how they would all unite, and how all people would do the same things and band together, right? Actually, during the Olympic Games of '84, I believe something like this was staged with absolutely amazing technology for that time. You got to go back, look at, I think it was '84. Look at the Olympics and a holographic projection that was stunningly real. And that was in '84. That's, almost 40 years ago now. So what we have today, they call it Project Bluebeam. And of course, it could have different names, but they could literally not just project, but they could have the crafts. They could have everything in place to make us believe there's a real alien invasion. As a matter of fact, quite a few years ago, I think many years ago now, I don't remember, but I had one of those premonition dreams. I never talked about this. I never shared this before. But this premonition dream, and I know they just happen rarely, every few years. I can feel it and I can remember it vividly. I was out in the fields with many people. It could have been a concert, could have been some sort of outdoor event or festival, something like that. And all of a sudden there was a craft overhead, and laser shots were coming down, and people were immediately completely panicked, and it looked like aliens, right? And so immediately in the dream, I knew this was fake. This wasn't real. And I tried to tell people this is not real. They're faking this. These are not real aliens. I mean, it's just my dream, my premonition, whatever that means to you. What I'm saying is this has been now programmed into people over the last year and a half, which seems to be always the time span. You have seen mainstream media, over and over and over again. NASA coming out, Navy coming out, Air Force especially coming out, and everybody coming out, pilots sharing stories, talking, preparing the public, priming them. As a matter of fact, and we all know what we believe about NASA and what the realities are, two very different things. But let me read this to you. This is an article from March of this year, so not too long ago. The highest ranked official of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, they spelled it out because most people don't know what it means. Charles Bolden was put on sick leave for 6 months after he publicly declared that an extraterrestrial invasion would take place before 2025. Now, he shocked many people during a conference in Houston on Saturday by declaring that it's only a question of months, maybe years, before technologically advanced aliens invade our planet. Okay, there are many scary things out there, and some of them have probably already taken notice of our existence, Mr. Bolden said. We have estimated that there are at least 30,000 other civilizations in the universe. We've been active in outer space for decades, so we've certainly already attracted the attention of at least one of them. We could be invaded at any moment. Okay, so this is what he said, then it's been put on sick leave. Of course, for the highest ranked official to just come out and say this at a conference, that just doesn't happen. That's politics. NASA, the highest ranked official, that's politics. In politics, people don't just go out on a limb and say something. It doesn't happen like that. Things are being coordinated. Even that sick leave, I believe, was a planned thing. Things like that are being coordinated unless he's really whistleblowing and telling us something. But I don't believe this story because recently more and more evidence has been coming out that, of course, all the space exploration things that apparently were done by NASA and other institutions like it seem not to be legit. I mean, people are just blabbing all over interviews how they don't have the technology to go to the moon right now. It was all destroyed, and now we don't have it. We have to rebuild it. And of course, it's just very odd that you wouldn't have that 60 years after the freaking fact. You don't have that technology. It's like saying we did something with a car in 1960 something, and we can't replicate that now in 2022. It's all bullshit. It's bullshit, but I believe it's very important to realize what we can do with this information. There's two pieces that we can learn from this and actually use for our benefit. Number one is, imagine if in October of 2019, vast majorities of people had shared Event 201, the video that they put out, seeing the Gates Foundation, seeing everyone out there, and just seeing what they prepared in October of 2019. If we had hundreds of millions of people watch this video, do you believe the reactions would have been the same just a few short months later? I don't think so. Same thing with 9/11. We have an opportunity to share with people what these planned events are. And there are a few possibilities what might be next. It might not be alien invasion. It might be another staged war. It might be a nuclear incident. There are a few things that could be real or staged that they want to put out there. A climate event, something, like that. Those things are being projected out there everywhere now. And so we need to look at the possibility of such events. However, we also need to realize if we are prepared for this, if we understand what information is being put out there, we won't panic when it happens and we can help others. That's always important. But more importantly, what they're doing is predictive programming. They're trying to trigger such events with our collective envisioning power, right? So the more we envision the horror scenario, the more of this is being projected into the field. So don't do that. Simply look at what they're projecting out there and then use your own creative power and our collective co-creative power to create our own vision. If they can create this into existence and plan this into existence, we can do much better, much bigger, and much stronger things. That's the importance here. We need to learn that how powerful we are And then they might fall really flat. They might still go through with these events, but they won't have the impact that they think it'll have, because people are not falling for it. People are prepared for the false flag. That's what the name is for such events. But they're, more importantly, they're invested in their own beautiful visions of the future. And your own vision of a beautiful future is something you need to have. We haven't been taught this, but we need to have a vision of the future, and we need to put that vision into the now. How does it make me feel to live that vision? Close your eyes. Imagine it vividly. What does it feel like? What does it entail for you? Is it going to a clean stream and drinking out of that clean stream? Is it seeing your children play in the lush green of nature, in harmony with nature, with animals? Is it raising a happy family? Is it having beautiful community around you? Is it having the luxury of time and natural abundance, an abundance of everything you might need? Is it having free energy? That's our task to create this. So eye on the ball is the eye on the vision. And the other eye on the ball is every now and then checking in what's the predictive programming, and making sure that people realize these are just planned events. And if they create the problem, but we don't react the way they wanted us to react, then the solution can't be implemented. And that's the whole name of the game. That's how we win this war. We are in a war, and so we can learn certain things from the enemy. It's really important. It's information gathering. You always, recon, you always look what the enemy is doing. You even let the enemy do certain things for a specific reason, to show a certain thing to the people, and then you move on and you move closer to your vision, closer to your vision. Our vision has always been, for the last 10, 12 years, really, really strong, a vision to empower and inspire people to not just live their best possible life, but to become self-sufficient, personally responsible, and independent. That's our mission, because that's the only thing that keeps people in the system. It's not that they love the system. It's not that they think it's the best thing, since the invention of butter. It's what keeps them in the system is thinking that's the only way. It's thinking if they don't do it, they will get crushed, they will be poor, they will die, they won't be able to survive. They depend on these structures. And that's why we love, love, love the vision that's being put out in the Anastasia books by Vladimir Megre, the Ringing Cedars books. Absolutely amazing vision. We love, love, love what Food Forest Abundance, Jim Gale, and the whole permaculture sphere is doing, putting new, beautiful visions out. We love what so many of you are doing, creating a space of your own, living, loving, sharing, caring. All of this is the future, and it's you. It's us, it's all of us together that are going to create this, regardless of what this ever diminishing dark group is doing. They know their days are numbered. I'm going to say this over and over again. They know their days are numbered. They know they can never compete with real consciousness. They know they can only throw things at us, and it's our job to realize it, reject that, step into our own vision. Boom, that's it. That's how we win. We are winning. We are winning, but we need to show up every day for this. All right, tribe. So last but not least, how do we actually deal with potential alien invasion talk? I would suggest that you start looking into what's been put out there, dripped out there to the public over the last years and decades in terms of technologies, right? What's been kind of leaked in terms of they might use this as a tactic. Look at what movies predict and project. Talk to people, put their minds at ease, and say that, if this happens now, and if it happens in a semi-violent way, it's not real aliens. And I believe that to be true. I believe then we have to look at our own governments as the culprit here. That said, there are definitely other civilizations. There are other species. I believe they're much closer than we think. I believe they're kind of just around the corner, if you will. And actually, I think we've had contact for many, 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 many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, millions of years. Maybe not out in the open as much as we would love, but I also think that we will reconnect with other species in a peaceful way, and we won't need governments to do it. We will do it. We will do it through the power of mind-to-mind communication. We will do it through the power of heart communication. We won't need it to happen on the TV screen. The real revolution, Inspired Tribe, will not be televised. The real revolution will not be televised. All right, Tribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon.